thought that it was very important that the leadership of the Historical Society and the Historical Foundation and our local county society get together to learn about this thing called the Schwiering Project. And I was headed down this road because I was going to give this presentation to you and tell you that what I thought was just really darn important about the Schwiering Project. And then I interviewed Lucille, and shortly after that, Lucille said, "You know, Mike, it's my baby." And so I said, "You got it, Lucille." And so we're going to do a little bit of tag team, but Lucille is going to tell you a story tonight that is extremely valuable for all of us to know and appreciate about what I'm going to say is the birth of the Schwiering Project. So Lucille, do you want to go ahead and start?
I'm going to do a story about my life, and I don't have to have notes or lights or anything else to tell it because it's in my head. And it begins in 1949 when I married a man called Lucille Dumbrill. And later on, why we moved in 1953, I believe, to Newcastle, Wyoming, and became interested in the Historical Society as part of our lives. My husband was an attorney here for a long time, and he did many things free of charge for the Historical Society. It was always one of his favorite projects. So we were married 35 years when we decided to do something. My father had become the director of the Biological Research Station in Jackson Hole, so we had gotten quite familiar with Jackson Hole and liked it a lot. And there was a painter there named Conrad Schwiering who was painting pictures that we were so poor we couldn't afford. But when we'd been married 35 years, we thought, we're rich now, so we can have one of Conrad's paintings. So we went to see him, and my father knew his father because his father was the dean of the College of Education at the university, and my father taught there. And he was also the director of the Biological Research Station in Jackson Hole. So everybody knew everybody, and we all knew each other, sort of, you know what I mean? So we went to see Conrad, and we said, "Conrad, would you paint us a picture for our 35th wedding anniversary?" And he said, "I'd be glad to. I'd love to do that. What picture do you want?" We said, "Well, we've been fishing over at Third Creek quite a bit, and there's a view of the Tetons from the north as you come out of Jackson Hole. And you look down toward the Tetons, and in the foreground is this beautiful field of lupin flowers. And that's the picture we would want if you would paint it for us for our 35th wedding anniversary." And he said, "I'd love to. I've always wanted to paint that scene." And we said, "Good," and we had a handshake. That's all you need in Wyoming. Well, time went on, and time went on, and time went on. The 35th wedding anniversary came and went. No picture, no picture. So we finally called him out, and we said, "What happened to our picture?" And he said, "Oh, well, can't have that picture." We said, "Why?" He said, "Well, you can, but I do have another picture, and it's a picture of the Tetons, and it's all framed, and I'll give it to you at the same price if you'll take it instead for your 35th wedding anniversary." We said, "Yeah, we don't really want to do that." But finally he said, "Okay, it's that picture or none." Well, that's all he said. "Okay, we'll take it." So for the same price, we got Autumn Magic, and that's the picture you see over there. We had the original painting. We wrapped it all up, it was all framed, ready to hang, and we hung it on our fireplace, and there it still hangs. So anybody that's been to the house has seen it, and that's where it is. So one day, we had neighbors, Catherine and Bill Townsend, who were good friends, and their daughter from Alaska came down to visit, came over to give us a visit, and we enjoyed her a lot, knew her quite well. And she looked at that painting on the fireplace and she said, you know, I did a project for a worthy cause in Alaska, and we had a well-known painter that painted a painting, and I had prints made from that and signed by the governors, the prints, and the painter, and we had a big project and we made a lot of money. And she said, I'll bet if you had a good cause, you could make a lot of money if you'd make prints from your painting. Because she was appreciative of Conrad Schwiering's position and his notoriety. And we started thinking about it, and we thought, well, you know, I think Dick was president of the foundation at the time. I can't remember, but he was the least active in it. We were both active in the Historical Society, and Catherine, that would be Kay's mother across the street, she was active in the Historical Society, so Kay said, why don't we see if that would work out? And I said, you know, the centennial is coming soon. And so, but then this was about 87 maybe, and then guess what happened in 86? Conrad Schwiering dropped dead. And so then that was in January, and in October, Mary Ethel dropped dead. They were both dead. So I thought, well, I don't know what we'd have to do because the rights to the painting remained with the painter. But we found out I knew his brother Billy, because his father was the dean of the Education College at the university, so I knew Billy. So I asked Billy, and we talked, and he said, they have a trust at the Cowboy Hall of Fame in Oklahoma, isn't that right, Mike? That's where the trust was. And so we had to go there if we were going to make copies and get permission. Well, we thought, then we got thinking about it, and we thought, there are 5 Wyoming governors alive at the centennial. And Milbert Simpson, Cliff Hansen, Stan Hathaway, Ed Hirschler, and Mike Sullivan. 5 of them are alive. Maybe we could get them all to sign prints. Wouldn't that be quite a project? And so, well, we started out. We said, well, Mike, called Mike Sullivan, Mike, what about if we do this project for the State Historical Society and Foundation? And they have this wonderful project called History Day, where children from all over the state are involved. That was one of the arguments we used, and it was true. It wasn't an argument, it was true. And we'd like to have these pictures signed, and they're Conrad Schwiering, there'll be prints of Conrad Schwiering. Oh yeah, we know him. Well, so Mike Sullivan said, okay, you can have my conference room, and I'll participate. And I said, whoa, that's not bad. Let's see who else we can ask. So we asked all the governors, and they all said yes. I don't know why or how, but they all said yes. And then Milbert Simpson was sick on his bed, had his foot cut off, and it was in bad shape, but he wanted to be included. So we assured him that we would work it out to include him. So we had all 5 governors said yes. And so then we had to go from there. And of course, we had Linda. She was working for the state at the time. But I thought, here we are, we have this all set up, and we have no prints. No prints, not a single solitary one. What are we doing? We're selling something we don't have. And getting copies made of our painting. And I thought, well, maybe how many cases? Yeah, 1,000, at least. And I said, what? She said 1,000. So we contacted Dr. Kafka at the State Historical Department, and he said, maybe I could find somebody to make the prints for you. And he did. He found someone in Denver that could make prints for us. They would have to be archival prints on archival paper, and they had to be done just right. They had to be just a little smaller than the original painting. So we wrapped that painting up in blankets and put it in the trunk of our car. And we started down to Cheyenne, picked up Dave Kafka, and went to Denver with our painting and went into the printer. And he looked at it and he said, yeah, we can do that. And he made several different copies of different colors. And Dave and the printer and I looked at it. We looked at it. Now, Dick did not participate because he was colorblind. But he was an awfully good carrier. So anyway, yes, they finally did. We finally chose the right color, the right print, and he printed off 1,000 prints. I think there were 950 numbered, and I don't know exactly how many. We still don't know exactly how many. We wanted extra, so if one got damaged or destroyed, we'd have another one.
The ones that start slow, but boy, by mid-season, you see something, and by the end of the year, they're the scary team nobody wants to play. Those are more fun than the teams that come in that you know are going to dominate, and they are dominating. You know, you're almost afraid to lose when you've got really, really good teams and high expectations.
Oh, for sure.
Those are fun seasons. Is there that potential in Dobie sports this year for some of those programs?
I think it's possible. Cody coming down into 3A this year is going to scare quite a few of us old 3Ers, but we do have that potential for growth. We are not coming in at the beginning of the season at our highest potential, which frankly, you don't want. You want your team to grow. You want your team to develop and then get to that point by the end of the season to have that shot at postseason play.
We wanted extra, so if one got damaged or destroyed, we'd have another one. So anyway, we went ahead. He made the prints, and we had them all copied and wrapped up, and we put the painting and the prints back in the trunk of the car. I know, it's almost preposterous, isn't it? And drove back to Cheyenne, and we delivered the prints to Dave Kafka and the department, and Linda was working there, and you knew that, then you knew what they were.
Right.
Yeah. And then we had to figure out the time that we were going to go to Governor Sullivan's conference room and sign all of these prints. Well, Kay knew how to do it. She had a system. You want to tell about the system?
No.
Well, she had these things that had squares in it.
Templates.
Oh, that system.
Yeah, that system, how they did it.
Yeah.
And so we made a date, and it was in June of 1988. So, and listen, the centennial of Wyoming was 1990. So it was just 2 years. We thought, well, this will be a good time to sell these prints, because with all the governors, 5 governors signing those prints, that's a wonderful story. And so we set up a time with Governor Sullivan, and he said, yes, that would be a good time. And it was in June of 1988, and we all met in his conference room. And I think Linda knows more about it than I do, because I was in kind of a dense fog. But the committee was Catherine Townsend, that would be Kay's mother, Bill, Dick, my husband, Kay Townsend, and me. We were the committee before. And we all met with the governors in Governor Sullivan's office, all but Millward. He couldn't be with us because his health would not allow. And Kay had it all set up so that you could tell that part.
It was so exciting, it really was. I think the date was October October 24th, 1988, because that's the date all that everybody signed.
Signed it us, well, maybe it was that.
Yeah, but it took a while to get everybody on the same page so that we could schedule all the
Yeah,
governors
that's
to be
probably
there.
true, yeah.
Yeah, and between Lucille and Kay, you didn't say no to either one. Oh, that'd be great. Oh, sure, I'd love to do it.
How many times have we heard that story? You can't say no to Lucille. Or Linda.
Well, we might be covered in the same cloth, I don't know.
It's called grassroots.
Yeah. So
So-
that day, I mean to tell you, I was the public information officer for the department, so I was automatically involved. And we all had to wear white gloves, and each of the governors sat in the order of their term at the table. And we had these schematics, these templates, each one had a place that they could sign. And so there was like a whole row of us, and we just took it one at a time, this one first, and scooted down, and pretty soon, this one.
So how did you get Millard's, Millard's?
Well, you gotta wait. This
Oh,
had-
sorry.
That's a new.
You've been reading ahead.
You gotta wait for that part of the story. There's a lot more to this story. I hope this isn't gonna wear you completely out.
She knows she's not gonna care if it does wear you out, so just pay attention.
Try to keep up, Tom.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Tom.
Well, anyway, they signed them all, and Jane, that was Mrs. Sullivan, invited us all over to the new mansion, and the mansion was new. Do you know which year that was built?
Governor Herster and Casey lived there.
Did they?
So they lived in the historic governor's mansion and then moved to the new mansion.
New mansion.
Mhm.
So, but we had never seen the new mansion, any of us, so we were tickled pink to get an invitation to lunch at the new governor's. And Jane was gracious enough to invite us, and then she invited the widows, Win Hickey and Leona Gage, to come too. And so I got a chance, I knew Win, and we had a nice visit, but I didn't know Mrs. Gage, and I got to meet her. So I remember that. There are things that I remember that she remembers that, you know, that are right and wrong, I don't know. You know, when you get to be 96, you do. It's a little better. So anyway, the centennial came and went, and we were still selling prints. And we had a long session of that, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Tell them how we did it.
Well, we did it on the phone. And some people would call me and order them and send me money. And then I would call her and tell her who, and you have that list. Did you bring the list?
Oh, I was gonna tell a story about that, Rich.
Okay, do you want to tell it now?
Oh, I would love to.
It was not.
What about Tom's question? We're the answer to Tom's
We'll tell you
question.
later.
Well, okay. We're right on the.
So Liz, a couple of years ago, Liz Barrett got a suitcase from Cheyenne. And she took it up to her house, and it was, she was expecting that the contents were going to be somewhat related to her by family. And when she opened up this suitcase, there was a military uniform of Junior Peck and love letters between a mother and her son who was in the military, and from Junior Peck's father back to him. And this suitcase was rich. And so the reason I'm telling you that is I think that there's a lot of suitcases and boxes of historical information.
In Lucille's house.
And so right here is one of those boxes, and the yellow tablet that Lucille is talking about starts with number 1. That's the first print that was sold, and number 2, Darwin Case got number 2. Number 1, it says to be presented. Lucille has, and I'm not sure who it was presented to.
That was my log.
Okay, this is your line.
Right,
Okay.
and so we numbered it from 1 to whatever number, and when we would talk, she'd say, I sold number 2, and then I sold this one, or sold that one.
And you added, them, they were all numbered.
Yes, yeah.
Yep, they were.
And, but we presented several to other dignitaries.
You were philanthropic in your.
Yes, in our fundraising effort, we were.
Well, and we gave one each to the governors also.
Yeah. So in the write-up of the meeting booklet that you may have gotten already, if you didn't, but it tells a little bit of the story, and it talks about the philanthropy of these leaders of the society and of the Schwiering Project, who they were giving these things to, and county chapters got them, and governors got them, and the American Heritage Center got them, and Buffalo Bill Museum up in Cody got them, and the list, Kay Linton gets number 3, Judge Guthrie gets number 4, Henry Jensen gets number 5, Nina Clark. Nina Clark, who in the world is Nina Clark? She got number 6.
My mother.
Your mother. So this is a log of all of the prints that were sold, and
And who got number 71?
who got number 71? Let's take a look here. Now let's see here. A gal by the name of Linda Rollins. Oh my gosh! And it said
my son was born.
it was paid and delivered. That's exactly right. And so what did you do with that number 71 print?
Well, I have a little story about that too. So at one time or another, the Historical Society had a raffle for print number 100, which is pretty significant, right? And so the fellow that won it was Fred Chapman. We worked with him. Well, he didn't like it. He didn't care. He has no heartfelt interest in it whatsoever. So I said, I'll treat you, which was kind of hard because 71 was when my son was born, but what does he know? So we traded, and I have print number 100.
Great. So I was telling you, the surprises come in boxes, and they come in suitcases. And I don't know that Lucille knows what's on this yellow page here, but I see this and I think of legal paper. It says Lucille C. Dumbrill and Richard S. Dumbrill, the owners of the painting, will allow a limited reproduction of no more than 1,000 of the original painting at no cost to the second party except copies of, well, I could read this on and on. But this is like the first document that Richard Dumbrill drew up to make this project happen. Yeah, and so somewhere the official document resides, but we have, I don't know where that is for sure, but this is like a treasure. This is like a real treasure.
I think Linda and I know where one copy of it is.
The original?
It's in our files.
Okay. So I have a,
And I bet Cindy is wanting that box of stuff so bad to take It's killing her that you're touching all
yes,
that.
well, I've got my greasy napkin.
So we need to find out about Millward now.
Yes, so, yeah, I have one more story to tell, but I'm going to wait on that.
Okay,
So-
all right.
Satisfy Tom's appetite.
So,
You know, I'm a chronological person, so this should have been told a while ago, but go ahead.
Well, you're from Hart County, that's why you're standing up for Millward.
Millward Sims
Cody.
wanted to be part of this.
Mhm.
And of course, we were friends with Al and Ann, and you know, we had a reason and a way to get Millward to do it.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done totally amazing.
Cody.
wanted to be part of this.
Mhm.
And of course, we were friends with Al and Ann, and you know, we had a reason and a way to get Miller to do it. And it was true, we needed all five when all five were alive. So what are we gonna do? We have a back trunk full of signed prints. The whole dang collection is in our trunk.
And they're heavy with, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but of course I had Nick to help me and we put them in the trunk and we drove to Cody and they made arrangements. We talked to Ann and Colin, that would be Al's wife and son.
Youngest
And
son.
they said they'd see that they were signed with Millward's stamp, official signature stamp. And that way he could participate in the project. So, but there were 1,000 of them and somebody had to do all that work. So we thought, well, we've had them in the trunk, but we were gonna take them to the Buffalo Bill Museum because we knew they'd be well cared for there. And then Ann and Colin saw to it that they were signed. And I think that Millward at least saw them and participated to that extent to have them signed. He had already lost a blood because of diabetes. He was not in good shape at all.
He might have been in the nursing home by then. I'm not
He
sure.
might have been.
I can't
I don't
remember
know for
exactly.
sure either, but I do know that I trusted them to do it correctly. And his name, of course, was first, because he was the oldest one. And so we had all those prints and all those signatures in the trunk of our car. And there they were. And then we took them back to Cheyenne, and bless her heart, she and I sold most of the rest of them and earned a lot of money. Now, there was something else that happened. Remember, we ordered this print. We said, we like this view from the north of the Tetons with the lupin in the foreground. Okay, Mike, you can tell that story.
Well, Tom Ray may know something about this story, but here is a coffee cup. This is a kind of a coffee cup, and it has the centennial stamp of Wyoming on it. And so, Tom, do you recognize that?
I remember, I've seen one of these before, but I don't,
It's not yours, it's not yours.
Take a look at that, see if you recognize, have you seen that at all?
I have one of those sitting.
You got one where?
I have one sitting in my cupboard, I drove tea on.
Yes.
What nice.
Well, then, if you look at this, I'm going to pass this around.
Okay.
So here is,
And what else did you have?
there are 4 centennial stamps. Okay.
oh,
Now, if you look at that coffee mug and look at these stamps, you'll recognize that that is a scene from the north end of the Tetons, and the field in front of it is filled with what? Lupin. So that is
So we sold it to the postal service, US.
That's not quite right.
Well,
But you're
the
close.
stamp committee that approves new stamps.
So there was a
What's his name
man
from Casper?
there was a man from Casper, Jack Rosenthal.
Jack Rosenthal. He was on the US Stamp Advisory Committee.
So Jack Rosenthal from Casper, I think, purchased this painting maybe out from under Dick and Lucille. And so up until about a month ago, Lucille didn't know kind of what happened to her print or her painting.
Well, I did know way back when.
So Jack Rosenthal was a stamp collector, and he acquired that painting that Dick and Lucille ordered, and he wanted it to be the centennial stamp. But the rules say that you can't have a centennial stamp with a picture on it that is from a private organization. So, Tom, you know what Jack Rosenthal did with
Did he
that?
start a foundation? Did he give
Well,
it to
he
the
gave it
place?
to the Nicolason Museum.
Okay, all right.
And so in the Nicolason Museum in Casper is the Schwiering collection. And so I think when Schwiering died, I don't know the exact facts, but I think they acquired, 40 of Schwiering's paintings. And that became the Schwiering collection at the Nicolason. And in that agreement, the Nicolason is to display the Schwiering collection every 3 years. And so in that collection, you will find Schwiering's, colors, the paints, all of his office kind of stuff, and it's in their vault if it's not being displayed. But that is the story of what happened to Lucille and Dick.
Exactly.
And so the name of that painting was called High Mountain Meadows. High Mountain Meadows. So that was aimed for Lucille and Dick, but somehow it got hijacked. But she got this lesser quality.
Well, what we got, the autumn magic that we got was a more common painting that he did. A lot of that scene and a lot of that sort of thing. So it was a more common one. And what we had ordered would have been a special original one. But he said he always wanted to paint it. So when we called him and wanted it, he said, you can't have it. And this is the one.
But he wouldn't tell you why, no.
No, he never did, and then he had the audacity to die.
So
that was the end of that.
yeah, and Lucille and I
Lucille, how much
decided
money
that
did you
Rosenthal
raise?
was Schwiering's money backer.
Say that one more time.
Rosenthal was Schwiering's money backer.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
He owned K2TV,
yeah.
K2 Radio. He was a very likable, outgoing guy. He's a very good friend of Pete's and Lynn.
Oh, well, he's the one who got the George Beck papers, and they thought they were going to be going to the Buffalo Bill, and he gave them the American Heritage.
Remember his map collection?
Yeah. Yeah, I know, he had a huge stamp. And maps.
Yeah, he got one of
So I'd like to ask our current president a question. All right? That would be you. So this is all kind of a heartwarming story, isn't it? I mean, it means a lot to Lucille that she and Dick did this in 35th wedding anniversary, and we've got this wonderful print. But what is a lot of money on a project? I mean, would you run this project if you could generate $5,000 in a year?
What do you mean run the project?
I mean, just begin a project and say, my goal is $5,000 to be earned in a year.
How much do you have to put in to start?
Well, let's say you put in $20,000
But
to get all this.
We didn't have to pay too much because the prints were done on archival paper, but they were all done at once in the place. And we did the transporting of them, and we took them to Cody and, in our truck. And
So call it $2,500 is the cost. What do you want to earn in a year? Or let's say, what do you want to earn in 5 or 10 years? Let's say 10 years. What would be important?
Are you asking about or something? But I could.
Shall I ask the treasurer of the society?
Yes, please.
I'm not
sure she has any better idea.
So what would be a goal, like if the
50,000.
society took on? How much?
50,000?
50,000. You think that's all right, Heidi?
That sounds good.
Okay.
That's a round number. Sure.
Well,
There goes here's
here's some minutes from the treasurer of the foundation
Okay.
in 2001. Let's see here. If I can find this.
I After putting me on the spot, you better find
Good for you, sir.
In the meantime, I can tell you how nice Cliff Hansen was, because we had volunteered. We told him, if you'll come from Jackson, we'll pay your expenses, and we'll pay for your motel and everything, so it won't have cost you anything. And so we told Cliff, and he says, oh, don't worry about it. We thought, well, so when I went to the hitching post office to pay his bill, he had already paid it. I mean, that's the kind of a guy he was. And he paid for his own plane fare and bought 3 prints in addition to the one we gave him.
Well, there's all that salary we've been paying him way back.
So Lucille and Linda and the team were selling prints, $250 a piece.
Okay.
And they got a little bit for mailing and all that kind of stuff. And so Lucille was very adamant that she wanted some kind of control over the accounts. So she put the money where?
In your bank, in my bank.
In your bank, the First State Bank of Newcastle.
Yes.
And the president was?
Don Jording.
Don Jording. So it's all kind of... So here's
Grassroots, Linda, it's grassroots.
February 10th, 2001. The savings account at the First State Bank, $1,062. 2 CDs, $23,898. So a fair amount of money, right? But $100,000 had already been transferred to the Converse County Bank of Douglas, Wyoming.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
But $100,000 had already been transferred to the Converse County Bank of Douglas, Wyoming, Trust Department to establish a trust for the benefit of History Day. $100,000 generated from this to develop this trust.
I can happily report, because I know this number in my head, that account has more than doubled in the past 20 years.
That's right. So it's
Not allowed to touch the corpus.
there's
Yes.
not been any other money-making project, I think, that matches the Schwiering project. And so they had this trust for History Day, and also Lucille had this idea that she wanted to establish a historic preservation award. So what do we call that in our society now? The Maureen Carley. So $10,000 was transferred to another account, a trust, to finance the Maureen Carley Historic Preservation Award for the Wyoming State Historical Society. And as you remember, yearly, the society awards people money if they have been deemed appropriate for that award. So if you
And
would,
that account has tripled.
so this has been an enormous boost for the society, for all kinds of projects. And so a lot of that information is kind of embedded in this, and Lucille wanted me to show you this card if you had not seen this card. Those of us who've been in the Historical Society a long time have seen this distributed at historical societies, and it's an advertisement for a very special print commemorating Wyoming's 100th statehood anniversary. Today's treasure and tomorrow's heirloom. And so my parents purchased a print for me and one for my sister, so this is one that I got. And then when my boys got old enough, we bought prints for them. And of course, we thought that we needed 6. governors, so we put Jim Geringer's name on it. And so their prints have that. Ann Noble, who serves on, I think is your president of the Historical Foundation, I think she shared with me that she had purchased prints for her children. And so I think it's not an uncommon event.
Well, Cliff Hansen bought prints for his children,
That's right.
as well as for himself.
You'll see him in banks, you'll see him in restaurants, getting shocked. Surprises you when you see it, but.
I got one.
Have you got one?
They were $250.
Are they?
They're gone now.
They're
No,
gone.
they are not coming.
They're not coming.
We have, well, I know there was 6 in one package, and there's another small package underneath it, but it's sealed, so I didn't open it.
I think
Are they numbered?
those are artist groups.
Oh, those artist groups in the sealed one?
I think everything you have might.
No, because there was numbered. The ones that there's those 6,
Because a few years ago.
930 something.
What's that?
Because
I didn't open them that far.
A few years ago,
It's not
we
950.
donated
It's not
books
That's not
that, we
Well, they're probably
entered
50
into
artists.
an agreement with the State Library Foundation
950.
to get rid of the
I
last
think they
60,
signed,
I think.
they signed
Oh,
1,000.
The
So
last
there's
one.
Okay, I just thought there was a number of 930 something, and I opened it up a little bit, and I went, oh, that's it, and I closed it back up, because it seemed to be a nice seal statement, but that,
See if they're numbered.
they are numbered and signed. I don't know if they're signed, though.
We'll have to look
We'll
at
have to look, yeah.
Fundraiser.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
are you doing this program, a slideshow later on this weekend?
Say that one more time.
Are you doing a slideshow of some of the pictures that you have?
No, I'm not.
Then I can show this one?
Absolutely, you can show it.
Okay, well, it's not very big.
So I put one of the black and white pictures in the book, the meeting book, and you can see that.
Oh, is that the same picture of the name?
Yes.
I think you get it when you register, but I,
It's in your blue bag.
Okay.
But we
Yeah,
have,
at the society, Linda had one on display. It's still hanging in my office now. And I happen to have, it was a gift. I won't make it a birthday, because it was the centennial year. So next to it is the stamp of the other Schwiering project with all of the, little did I know, with the, all of the 1990 coins and everything in that. So they were next to each other in the office.
So in businesses around your communities, you will find prints hanging. So up in the library, up the street here, Weston County Library, hangs a print from the attorney that was across the street. And so he had purchased it when he retired and moved on. He said, here you go, library. So the library has one hanging. And so I'm sure that Rick and Arlene, do you have a print in your house? Have I got a deal for you? I'm sorry.
Everybody here.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of.
We've got one at the Cody Heritage Museum that we got from an estate.
Very good. And so these are kind of moving around, and the society, and Linda helped me with this, sold them and sold them and sold them, and then there seemed to be no further interest in selling or buying them. And then yet tonight, a lady from Newcastle sees what's going on, and here she comes in and she sees this. She says, "Where can I get a print?"
Yeah.
And so amazing. And so when there was no interest, no further interest, what happened to the prints?
Christy Wallen, who then was the foundation director for the Laramie County Foundation, Library Foundation, came to us. Of course, she's Rick Ewing's partner, so she had some inside information. So the foundation.
Grassroots.
Right. Yeah. So the foundation, she approached the foundation about taking the remaining prints. And then she had all the governors since signed them. I have no idea if they were going up a side or what. And then the proceeds were split. It was kind of a slow process.
Yeah.
I think there were 60, I want to say.
and I just like it very much.
charging $250, or I hope it's gone up with
It went up.
inflation.
Yeah, it was
Well,
much more.
And before that, were you
giving them as part of the award for the Maureen
And
Carly?
the Marine Carly Awards. We
Okay,
gave each
because I have
person-
one in my office from when
Yeah.
Sherry Mullinex got
Yeah.
Maureen Carly for Camp Douglas.
So we
Yeah.
gave each, the winners of the Marine Carly Award got a $300 cash gift and a Schwiering print.
So in the booklet that you have, you'll see a picture of Ben and Charlotte Roberts holding their print. A couple years ago or a year ago, they received the Maureen Carly Award for the restoration of their home in Newcastle and received a print that Lucille had at her home.
Wasn't numbered.
It wasn't numbered yet, but it's still a valuable print. They appreciate it.
And the sign.
So Lucille, what else did we need to tell our leaders?
Well, what do they want to know? All I know is
What
that
are you gonna do for the 200th centennial?
I'm going to be here for sure.
I know.
Well, we have 2 years till the semi-quincentennial of the United States. What are we doing?
What are you doing then?
Well, I think it's rather rare that you can find such an appropriate project, actually. And it was a kind of a group of fortunate things all coming together at the same time. The centennial came at the right time.
And there wasn't any conflict between the state of Wyoming and the department. There was no conflict, so it was really easy because
Yeah.
Dave Kafka and you and Mabel and Dick, they understood the value of it.
And then we were appreciated in the state government. All of the chapters of the society were really appreciated because they knew that the history of the state was really local history, even though sometimes people think differently. But I happen to think that the local chapters of the Historical Society of infinite value and the only way to really preserve the history like this one. Because how would you know if I weren't telling you?
Exactly.
Well, some of the talk in the minutes of, I think probably the Historical Foundation, if not maybe the Historical Society, was we have an organization, we have 2 organizations, but we don't have any money. You know, we're not generating any money. And there were, you know, some gifts that were given to the society or to the foundation. But that was some of the talk that was, went along with the beginning of this project. We need to develop something so we can generate some money. But I can assure you, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Lucille, you didn't have any imagination that this was going to be a $200,000 project for the society.
I was really surprised, but when you add it all up, it was not surprising. Because we sold each print for $225 or $50, you know, and then we sold them like hotcakes during the centennial. Yeah, we were on the phone all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
And then that card that Mike showed you, that he read from, that card went with every print sold.
Yeah.
And then if you had it framed, then the framer would make a little pocket for it in the back of your painting. But on October 24th, 1988, I have a card that everybody who was involved that day signed. Yeah. And there's Lucille Dumbrill.
We have a lot of these in this office.
Yeah.
That would be a nice one to put in the newsletter, wouldn't it?
So Linda, you said the people who signed the back of the card were the people that were at the
That
signing.
helped that day at the signing. Yeah.
Conference room.
Yeah. And, yeah.
Everybody at that signing looked a lot younger than they do now.
Did you? She had different hair and.
Yes.
I don't think
Were we
I was in
younger?
the picture.
Oh, yes, you were. I know you. We have pictures of you.
Oh, we have pictures of you.
And
Well, I
as,
know I was there every minute, but I wasn't, well, I don't speak like Kay, I wasn't.
No, you were not a sportsman.
and you can imagine that being the photographers that the Dumbills were, they also shot pictures of the governors and of Dick loading it into the trunk, wrapping it up. So I mean, it's a wonderful collection of kind of hometown, maybe called grassroots photography.
Well, I thought it was so much fun to do this and to tell you about it. And